Hey, how you doing? Welcome. Good afternoon. Welcome to another time here in the at the book club. Well, I'm starting today 30 minutes behind, just exercise and control. As so, welcome to as many as are here right now live, and as many will catch this later on. But so our book club, we got to do every Sunday here at 2 p.m. But today we're doing 2:30. Anyways, we continue with our book here, Cleopatra's Riches, by Martha Adams. Today we're going to be reading chapter 15 of this. That leaves us with 5 more chapters to go. So let's call it 5 more chapters, close 6 weeks, they're about to go. So that'll take us to the end of September, thereabout. And probably take a week break. And we'll go into our 5th featured book, which will be our next book. It's a book, Business is Personal by Brittany Frankel. Look forward to sharing this book with you. So if you're interested, feel free to get a copy and come along and let's read together. It does have a study guide. So if you can lay a hold of the study guide also, it'd be great. We use the two together and get everything Bethany has in this book, and we can learn and grow together. All righty, I'm just gonna go ahead and go on to our book here. We'll go into our book, Cleopatra's Riches by Martha Adams. Gonna bring up my slides here and we'll shoot, looking at chapter 15 of a book. All righty. All right, I guess you can see my slides now, and we're on to Cleopatra's Riches. So that's our featured books, our 4th featured book in this series in the book club. And Bethany Frankel's book will be our 5th book. And that's the next slide. Bethany Frankel's book, right, will be our 5th book in the series. Looking forward to sharing from that and learning about business. Feel free to come along. Again, there is the website for Martha Adams. You can go to it and get all that she has on this book and get blessed by it. So on to chapter 15 today, which is the 3rd delivery in on the journey, talking about relationship as it affects our making money. Today we started by just introducing relationship. Last week we talked about how relationship affects our earning money. Today we're going to talk about how it affects our growing money, right? I remember our model is earn, grow, enjoy. So next week we'll talk about how relationship affects our enjoying money. This week we're talking about how it affects our growing money, right? Obviously all of this overlap in one form or the other. Pretty much she starts each of her chapters with a quote, and the quote on this one is, "Do not be stingy, wealth is no security," right? Do not be stingy, wealth is no security. See, the rich are not stingy because they understand this principle. The poor tends to hurt because they feel, wow, never had, now I have. Oh, let you not go away, right? But wealth on its own is not security, right? It's the opportunity that you continue to tap into, right? That brings about the security. So the poor seek for security. They seem to hold on to what they have. The rich, right, don't seek necessarily for security, but seek for opportunities, right? Because it's a changing world. Right, it's a changing world. And the way you're just going to stay on top is by tapping into the opportunities that are continually coming your way, right? So it's not about what I have had, let me maintain it. It's about being there and continuously tapping into new opportunities, because there are new demands, there are new challenges coming your way. There are new things wanting to take away from you, right? And the way, like we typically would say, offense is the best form of defense, right? When you're stingy and you think money is security, that is being defensive, right? But the way to have to be financially empowered is to be offensive, right? Is to continuously tap into opportunities as they come your way in waves, right? And that just reminds me of a scripture where Jesus Christ talked about how we're supposed to use money. And he says that we should use it in winning other people to ourselves, right? So it's pretty much that what we have today is to bless people. You never know when you will need the harvest of what you're doing today, right? You're not doing it because of the harvest necessarily, but you're doing it out of a heart of love, out of a need to impart, pay your due of rite of passage in this life, making a difference in people's life, making a difference in your environment, right? But all of that is a sowing that you will need and you will get returns for somewhere along the way in your life, because it's just the way, it's a principle of life, right? You sow and you reap, right? You give and you receive, right? It's a principle, right? And we all just need to open ourselves to the way life is. Life gives, but for life to give, you gotta sow. You gotta put something in to get something out, right? Life is not, doesn't just give, right? Life only returns to you that which you sowed, though in increased measure. But you have to sow if you're going to reap, right? You have to sow if you're going to reap, right? So what we do, first of all, we work for money. We get paid the money. That money, what we do with that money is far more important than the money we receive, because in that money is bread and a seed, right? We eat the bread, yes. We need to plan for the seed. The seed is for sowing, investment, and also blessing people. Putting money in places that will turn lives, that will affect lives positively, right? And all of that is the way by which you guarantee financial empowerment. You are speaking and you're ensuring that money is not controlling you, but you are controlling money. And again, the way to get there is to have a plan, right? Money is a spirit, and it seeks. It's like a woman, as it were. But let me say that. Just some people will think I'm sexist. But money seeks control, right? So if you allow money on its own, it's going to control you. The way you control money is by having a plan, right? Ever before you get the money and executing that plan. And part of that plan, it's investing, saving, and plugging back, into the community, into the environment, right? To be a blessing, right? And that ties to what Archetypes taught us years ago, and said that the only constant in life is change. Things are changing. It's day, it's night, right? People are dying, people are being born. There's life, there's death, there's morning, there's evening, there's summer, there's winter, in all of that. Life is this continuous change, right? People are being judged, and some people are coming down, some people are being elevated, right? Life is a flux, right? There's a continuous change. And you want to use that change to work for you, right? That change will occur. There's no way you're going to stop that change. So it's not fighting against the change. It's using the change to work in your favor, right? And that is being a master of your money, how you spend it, having a plan for it, right? Let's go on. So going more into the meat of what we have to share today, obviously, some people think, that love will conquer all things, right? That's when those the poor people and people who are looking for excuse for them not getting the right result in life, will tell you that money doesn't make you happy, but that's not true, right? Romantics will talk about love will conquer all things, right? And yes, love will conquer all things, but the money holds the wheel of that conquering, right? The money makes it easy, right? And that money could limit what love can do, because people don't get divorced because they don't love one another. They get divorced because they're not able to live together. They don't understand one another. Somehow things are not working, not because they don't love one another, but there's a conflict and they don't know how to solve that conflict, right? They don't know how to bring down their ego, and make compromise and make concessions, right? To make that marriage work, right? And sometimes some of the stress comes because of money issues. Not necessarily because there's no money, right? It comes from differences in values, in goals, in personality, right? We all have money imprints. That's what we've been talking about, looking at Martha Adams' book. She's told us how we develop our money imprints, right? Our origin, our upbringing, right? Our family, our community, our society. All of that has made us who we are. We're who we are because of all the influences that has hit our life, all the influences that has corrupted our life. That is what has made us who we are. And we've become who we are, right? And we then need to understand how to apply or use who we are to win in life. Because who we are has strengths and weaknesses, right? So first of all, we need to understand ourselves, understand our strength, understand our weaknesses, and make sure that our weaknesses is not standing in the way of our relationship, right? And let's go on that. So pretty much when we don't have that clear, we have conflict issues in marriages and relationship, right? And obviously, if you have conflict, you need to resolve it. And typically those conflicts come from a lack of understanding of one another, right? Tony Robbins would say the way we communicate with others and with ourselves ultimately determines the quality of our lives, right? The quality of our lives is determined by the interactions we have, right? Typically, like I say all the time, right? Everything that goes on the inside of you, or as any organism, right, is to prepare you for the interaction you have with others, right? So your interaction with others is only as fluent and as palatable and as successful as first your interaction with yourself is. If you have peace within, then you have peace to share with others. If you have no peace within, then you have no peace to share with others, right? So you gotta know yourself. You have to understand yourself. You have to know your own money imprint, your own money archetype, right? And then be able to understand that which is your spouse or your relationship, and together work out what is going to, how those two archetypes can work together such that you meet your spouse need, your need, and your together needs, right? Like we say all the time, right? There are three people in every relationship. It's you, me, and we. And all three are important. None can be overlooked, right? A sustainable relationship is dependent on your ability or your being able to feed rightly these three persons, you, me, and we, right? Any of them left unfed will be the stumbling block that's going to war against the sustainability of the relationship, right? So it's good to understand one another and work out how you want your relationship to move forward. It's more like writing a mission statement for your relationship. How do we want, it's like we talk about the union, right? The president in the US gets to give a talk every so often about what they call the state of the union, right? So you and your spouse or your partner need to work out what is the state of our union. How do we want our union to survive? How do we want our union to go forward, right? So it's not just our union, however, it's how am I going to meet my needs, your needs and our needs. All three are important, and all three must be well fed, right? Going on again, 8-year long study by Harvard just shows that relationships are important, right, to contentment, right? Find that the relationships are more important to contentment, right, than money or success, right? Obviously, relationships are more important, right, to contentment, to you being contented, but than money or success. However, money problems are consistently listed as one of the main reasons why couples get divorced. Obviously, relationship is more important than money and success, but money and success can make that relationship not to work, right? So they're all important in their own ways, right? Nothing to be overlooked, right? So people don't get divorced again because they stop loving themselves. It's just because they don't understand themselves and they don't know how to live together, right? So that's what we're talking about here. How do you live together? So the next few slides here, we're just going to share different money imprints that we all imbibe, right, by our origin, upbringing, community, society, right? So you need to understand which one is yours, right? Which one is your spouse, and be able to use the strengths of each and walk again and try to cover the weaknesses of each, right? None of the money imprints is better than the other. They are all equally good, and they're only tendencies. We're not slaves to our money imprints. We can live above our money imprints. Our money imprint is just a tendency, right? A tendency, default setting in us as a reason of our origin, our upbringing, right? But we're not prisoners to it, right? We can, by reason of better judgment, live above it, right? So it's just what is imprinted, stored in our subconscious mind, right? That we can always override the autopilot if we think that there's a better judgment than what the autopilot is trying to do, right? So the first one on the list of the, we're going to talk about 8 money archetypes here, money imprints. So the first one is a saver. I think I'm a saver. It's so easy to associate with a saver. And you'll also find that some people are not necessarily one as against the other. You could have a combination of this. It's just one of them will typically stand head and shoulder above the other. And I think for me as a person, the saver is what stands out for me, because it makes a lot of difference for me what's in my bank account. That is my money imprint. That's my archetype, right? I can live above it because I know better. But if I don't think, just in autopilot mode, I'm a saver, right? And who's a saver, right? It's just someone that gives high credence to saving money, putting money aside. You see that you kind of get your security from how much money you put aside, right? And you believe that you need to live within your means and not above your means. You don't take unnecessary risk, right? You have a emotional connection to your financial experience, and I do. I've had two-year spells of depression just because I had money issues, right? So I come from a place where my emotions are very much tied to my financial experience. That's a weakness for me. But having had 4 years of depression already, I don't plan to have any more. Right? So irrespective of what happens to me today, I'm higher than that. I'm higher than that because I've discovered what my weakness is. So I do everything to live above it now. But either told that's where it used to be, right? And I've had 4 years of depression to talk about that. The demons around here, it's you tend to want to be frugal, maybe hoard money. You're not that given to just outright spending, right? The angel along that is being self-sufficient and not having to borrow money. you know, and so there's a strength and weakness. The strength is you're able to keep also because you pay the price so much to keep. Sometimes you tend to go the other extreme, extravagant, right? But key thing is understanding yourself and being able to work against your weakness. It's more like it's not being overly saving or overly spending. It's finding that middle place. Don't forget the devil is in the adverb, right? The devil is in the adverb, whether too much saving or too less saving. It's getting the right balance, right? Being able to live a good life, you know, and yet be able to save something for tomorrow. All right, the next archetype after the saver is the pleasure seeker, or what you might call the fool, because all these things thinking about is pleasure. It's the adrenaline, it's getting the high, right? So generally they're looking for immediate pleasure, immediate reaction, immediate reward, you know, that's the pleasure seeker, right? They are risk takers, they're gamblers, you know, so they're in for the sport of the moment. You know, I am not a pleasure seeker. I love pleasure, but I'm not the big risk taker, right? I am an analyst. I'm gonna put the pen to paper, right? That's where I used to be. But then then my strength became my weakness also. So I don't move a bit away from too much of that. And I do put money in the market rather than spending too much time doing paper money. So, but I'm still very cautious. I'm not one that's going to throw caution into the wind, you know, in doing things like that. But the people that are different and they're more given to gambling, right? It's neither good nor bad. It's just being able to understand your tendency and be able to know when to take risk, learn from each mistake, and grow, right? The third money archetype we have is the star, or the warrior, or the celebrity, or what we call the inner big star. You know, this is more like, as the word says, a celebrity, you know, not just the pleasure seeker, but just needs that sense of importance, right, to itself. So it's all out there to conquer money issues, to be successful, you know, runs after their goals. They're in-depth investors, they focus, they're decisive, and they feel in control, right? They're on top of their business, as it were, right? The demons around that is they could be pretentious, right? When things are going bad, they're not going to necessarily show it to everybody because looking good is important to them. You know, looking good. They spend a lot of money, you know, to look good. They want that sense of importance to themselves. All right. Good things around that. This become natural leaders. They're risk takers, decision makers, and team builders. Right. Those come easily to them. Right. The fourth archetype is what we call the idealist or the alchemist. Right. This one's the ideal in every sense, right? They tend to help solve big issues, you know, they're into the ideal world. They idealize things, right? So they're all about doing things that will help the society, that will help one cause or the other. You know, they're pretty much those that are more, they're looking out for others more than they look out for themselves, right? They don't necessarily see having money as necessarily a good thing, but rather as using money to help others or to meet one cause or the other, right? Problem with that is that sometimes they have insecurities that come from accumulation of money or having to depend on other people, right? So they could be so spent out there that they have nothing for themselves, right? But the good thing around it is because of where they put their priorities, they have a sense of feelings of freedom and happiness because they're not necessarily tying themselves down to temporal things, right? Fifth on the list is what we'll call called the empire builder, right? The empire builder is, someone that seeks to build things, learn from small things and is interested in building big things, right? They're all about making impacts, right? They want to make things bigger and bigger, right? So they're pretty much looking for legacy, that wants to leave their mark on things, right? So that's not a natural flow for me, but it is an artificial flow for me because based on my learnings and where I am in life, I'm in that place where I want to leave a legacy, right? And I'm doing things on a legacy standpoint, not because it's necessarily the natural flow for me, but it's something that has come from my growth, from a growth standpoint, right? I mean, these people tend to be workaholics and domineering, and for me, yeah, those are weaknesses that can easily come to me. I love work. I love working, right? I love what I do here, you're right, and I give everything that I have to it, right? So it's easy for me to work because I enjoy working. I enjoy doing anything that has captured my heart, right? We could be domineering because we're trying to meet a target, right? And we are opinionated. So yes, we're trying to force our opinion through. That the mature stand is then to be able to hold that back, right? I grew up a very, I have opinions and I want my opinion true, right? That's the immature part. Today I'm more matured and I hold back, right? And try to be more diplomatic in pushing my opinion and willing to accept that my opinion will not be accepted. I try to take my person away from my opinion. That is not a natural flow. That's come from maturity and knowing and understanding better, right? So people like this tend to appreciate and implement and encourage innovations, right? Money making and in general also, so like I said, this kind of fits. Maybe I'm more of a saver and an empire builder. I do have a good bit of an empire builder inside of me, as long as well as a saver. I probably have more of the saver than the empire builder inside of me. All right, going to the sixth archetype, it's the caretaker or the martyr. I mean, there's some people that want to die for a cause, they give everything they have, right? They're givers, they're martyrs, they're generous, right? They care for others. They go to philanthropic things and all of that. They take care of other people, right? Problem is that they could hold back things, right? They could be passive aggressive, not telling people what they might have done wrong. They're not the vocal type, right? But they are wise with money. They use their money for the cause that they're taking care of. Seventh one is the innocent, right? The innocent is just like a child, they come with their innocency, right, into things. They have a lot of faith, trust, and optimism, and they generally don't go into details. They just trust, and I try to do a bit of that also. I imbibe a bit of it, not necessarily because it's natural, because I'm an analyst from a natural standpoint. But as you grow and as you tend to want to grow a big business also, you have to trust people because you can't be everywhere, right? You have to trust people and let's give them the first benefit of doubt. Now, when they don't live up to that, then you can take that trust away and maybe replace them. I've had to do that with my first employee on the new business that I started last year. Trust is a currency, right? Trust is a currency, but yeah, you have to be willing to give it, right? And if the person doesn't live up to it, then you get someone else, right? So that's for the innocent, right? And lastly is the guardian, right? That's you know, they're prudent, right? They tend to do things, you know, it's like the old mama style of things, you know. Just look at God, look at an elderly person trying to do things, you know. They're the mama, mother, nature people, right? And they're going to look at, do things with prudence, with diligence, right? Shortfalls for them is they could be anxious about the things that they're taking care of, right? Think about a parent that, or things that they can take the place of God in the life of their children. Yeah, you see a guardian, right? So that could be a negative where you don't release the people to be dependent and to grow, and you think that you can always be there for them, right? Uh, good sides to it is obviously they're prudent, they're alert, they're careful, right? They cross their T's and dot their I's, you know. So I don't know which one falls in for you, but the key thing is you need to understand your money imprint. You need to understand the money imprint of your spouse. And both of you need to then find a way that you can work together, right? In a way that you don't necessarily kill your individual money imprints, but rather you accentuate it without, and also find a place for your working together, right? So you need to have a mission statement for your union, right? So you're taking care of you, me, and we, right? You need to have a financial statement for your union that takes care of you, me, and we, right? You need to have, what is the goal for this union? What are the values for this union, right? What is the vision for this union, right? So you're working out something that works for the union as well as works for the individual, because all three are always going to be present, right? Because we came together, it doesn't mean that the you and me died. You and me are always going to be alive. Our union is a decision. We decided to come together, right? So the union was formed by decision, doesn't kill the you and me. So we take care of all three so that we can have a sustainable financial empowerment, a sustainable marriage, a sustainable relationship with one another. I hope all of this gets to help you. Feel free, send me a question, send me a note, your comments on YouTube, Facebook, wherever, and I'll be glad to answer you. All right, till next week, do have a great time. God bless you. Thanks.